You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with Jacob Morrison.
Whether you have government recognition or not, being a union is something that we believe not as an article of faith, even so much as like an empirically, factually, it makes people's lives better. Can you what are some of the things that so we know what a union is now. Why should I get one? What are some of the things that you tell people immediately? Some of the, whether that be relationship wise or like statistically, what do unions do for themselves? What do workers do for themselves when they are organized into unions?
So, I think that actually the experience of the average worker over the past year and a half really does show a lot of what the value of unions really can be. When the pandemic first started, unions were on the front lines of doing a lot of things to ensure that workers were safe, or that if, furloughs or slowdowns in production were occurring, that workers were protected, had recall rights, would be able to go back to their jobs. And I think that that's really, over the past year and a half, a lot of stuff has happened to the American, average American worker. And unions have been able to help workers navigate a lot of those crises a lot better than non-union workers. And now, as some of the folks, of course, from the beginning, some of the folks never left working in person. And that's an unfortunate reality. And in those situations where they had unions, they were able to at least bargain over, workplace safety, making sure that that workers were safe. But for folks that have been working remotely, now that they're returning to in-person work, they're returning to the office, that's a mandatory subject of bargaining that unions can negotiate over. They can't just be forced back in. That's something that has to actually be negotiated with the union. And so, aside from wages and benefits, which union healthcare is better. I mean, that was a big topic of discussion during the 2020 election, and it is better. I mean, by and large, union health insurance premiums are going to be lower. Coverage is going to be better. The plans are just overall going to be better for union workers and their families. Wages are going to be higher, significantly higher in a lot of cases, and the stronger unions are, the better your wage increases are. There's a lot of research showing that even where unions exist, right-to-work laws impact the strength of unions and impact what they can bargain as far as wages. But I think that, aside from all of the tangible kind of pocketbook concerns, one of the biggest things that you can get from a union is a lot of corporations try to kind of pretend that they kind of try to portray that kind of family atmosphere, that team atmosphere. That was a big thing in Amazon, as you both know very well. The Amazon team, that this is a team environment. That a union is going to get in the way of that team environment. And the reality is that none of that is accurate. None of that is true. And unions actually give you the voice on your job that a lot of corporations and management are really only pretending to give you, because everyone knows that management is going to do what management is going to do. If they ask you your opinion, they've already made up their minds. That's just window dressing. So unions give you what management is only pretending to give you. And unions can give you a lot of things that management, if it was up to them, don't want to give you. So I think that more than anything is really the union difference. Is ultimately management is going to make a lot of promises. Unions make sure that those promises become reality. And I think that's the big difference to me.
Right, and there were a couple things that I want to highlight and reemphasize that about the companies say that you're family, and the reality is that as soon as you stop being or as soon as they even perceive you as not maybe less than productive, or even an annoyance or a hindrance, maybe even you have a good idea that hurts their pride, right? Just for any reason, maybe they forgot to drink their coffee that morning, they'd get rid of you. The boss would. The profit motive is certainly strong, but we're still humans after all. And a lot of these petty kind of differences you can be fired for in an at-will state, which is just about every state. And I know people in the service industry here that work at some local breweries, and they're at this one particular brewery that I'm thinking of, the best brewer in the that they had. The boss got rid of him because there was just a personality conflict. Like, he was a really good brewer. He was always on time. He always did a great job. He got along with the rest of the crew, but he didn't get along with the boss, and the boss let him go. And so, of course, the family that they try to manufacture, that they try to convince you that they are, is an illusion. But the union family is like, it's real, or it can at least be made to be real much more easily than a family with a kind of hierarchical dictator at the top being the boss. And there was a story that David told me about one of their most recent annual conventions for the machinists. This guy who was a new member, or new-ish, he had been a member for a few years, and the love and solidarity that he had seen from his sisters and brothers in the machinists union, he got up in the convention and talked to, and said how much his union and his brothers and sisters meant to him, and he started tearing up. A grown man, a machinist in Alabama. I mean, these kind of the emotional thing is real, and that is not to be discounted. But also, the thing that you said about bosses making promises. The bosses' promises aren't worth the paper that they aren't written on. I mean, if you're able to get it in a union contract, you have got real ability to enforce it. And that's one of the things that I talked to when I did talk to some people down at Amazon who were maybe more skeptical of joining the union, of becoming a union shop there. They listed off things that they liked about their job, and I said, well, the boss could change that tomorrow, right? Do you have any expectation that those things that you like are going to continue? Do you have any reasonable expectation of loyalty from your employer? And the answer was always no, and the reply that I gave them is that the things that you like about your job, you can nail it down and get your employer to have to abide by those things for the duration of a contract. And the things that you don't like about your job, you can negotiate collectively and try to make better. Does that mean that in every instances you're going to make every single thing better or every single thing optimal? No, but you're going to have much more of an input and much more of a say and much more of an ability to actually affect the change of the things that you don't like in your workplace with a union.
I think that's one of the most important things that both of you guys have laid out is, if you talk to pretty much any American, regardless of their background, they're going to tell you they like democracy. And they're also going to tell you that they like having a say-so over their life. And that is what a union can bring to your workplace, so that when there are new rules or policies or guidelines that are implemented in your workplace, you actually have some say-so on that. Mm-hmm. It's not just a completely top-down relationship with your employer. And, surprise, surprise, when you actually have workers who do the work involved in organizing the workplace as to how it's going to run, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be better off, right? Because the people who actually do the work know how to do it. They know ways to make it better. And it's typically going to be better ideas than what you can get from some suit, making 6-7 figures, removed from the actual labor. So, I mean, if you believe in democracy, then you must believe in unionism.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, that a lot of the democratic principles I think the average person really does value, unions are just a question of bringing that into the workplace. And that shouldn't be threatening, but we know exactly why it is threatening, because unions are ultimately the place in the United States where we've got autocrats, we've got dictatorships, because management has all the power, and workers really have only what management is willing to give them. I really think that that's a key point. And as far just one point that you brought up about family, just referring back to my experience organizing, we went to the Missouri NEA Representative Assembly the year that we were organizing, and about 1,000 educators from across the state of Missouri. And when they announced it, they had some delegates there from the local that was organizing. There was a standing ovation from teachers, support staff from every corner of Missouri. And I've never felt that. We dealt with a very hostile press the entire time we were organizing. We got zero love from the press, but we got nothing but love from all of those people in that room. And that really showed that that sense of family that University of Missouri liked to talk about, that was real in the union.
If you want to see what we are up to throughout the week and get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/The Valley Labor Report. We are on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. This week is going to be a really good week to follow us on social media because I think I think at least one of us are going to try to get down to the mine workers rally in Brookwood. It's going to be huge, so you want to be sure to get those updates. If you missed part of the show and you want to watch it later, you can search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can watch the full show, and we clip segments and release them throughout the week. We also upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps. So to see if we are on your listening platform of choice, you can go to The Valley Labor Report. transistor.fm/subscribe. We've got a website where you can buy our hats and stickers. Folks, we've only got like 5 hats left. So if you want one of them, you need to get on that. We've only got just seriously a handful left. $35, union made in America. $35, that includes shipping. TheValleyLaborReport.org. You can also buy stickers and bumper stickers there as well. And finally, if you appreciate our work and want to help us stay on the air, then you can donate a couple dollars a month to us on patreon.com/TheValleyLaborReport.